Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're sitting down with you all to have a chat about women's hormones, so specifically some signs that your hormones could be out of balance. So this is actually something that we brought up in our private Facebook group, so that's Cultivate Health and Beauty Community, so we'll put all the links below for that. But we actually put a poll up in there asking you guys what you want to see going forward, and we had a surprising number of people saying that they wanted to see videos
more about
and
hormones and women's health, fertility, PMS and all of that stuff. So yeah, it was really interesting to do the poll, and so this is the first of a number of videos that we're going to do all about women's health topics. And if there's anything specific within that category that you'd like to see, definitely leave it in the comments below so we know to prioritize it. So the other thing that we wanted to announce before we get stuck into this video, which is going to be 10 signs that your hormones are imbalanced, is that we are holding a weight loss webinar or online class next Tuesday. So it will be 10 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. So for you guys in the US, it will be Monday evening. But this is our part 2 of our weight loss series. So we're going to be talking all about calories, macros, portion sizes, and we're also doing a 1 week meal plan, which is all paleo, of course.
Yeah, and how all of that relates, to a paleo diet, like calories and macros.
Yeah, so it is part 2, but it doesn't really matter if you attended part 1 or not. So in part 1, we spoke about mindset and motivation and just some general paleo principles to weight loss. So part 2 is definitely more in detail. So if you've been paleo for a while, this might be more relevant to you because we're getting into more of the nitty gritty. So if you're interested in signing up for that, it is a $12 attendance or the online workshop, but we'll leave the link below and you can have a look at the details and see if you want to sign up. And I think on that note, we will get started with this video.
So our first sign, and this is really a sure sign that you have a hormonal imbalance, is that you have irregular periods or you skip periods.
So we'll mention that the sort of average or optimal cycle length is around 28 days. So if you're getting irregular cycles that go from 40 days to 25 days and everything in between, that's a really sure sign that your hormones are off balance. So, I mean, it's a funny thing to say balance because our hormones are always changing, but they've got to sort of be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, they follow a rhythm throughout that 28 days, so you want them to be doing all the right things at the right time.
Yeah, and if you're not really sure if your periods are quite regular, it's a really good idea just to get one of those free apps on your phone and you can track it. And that will give you a really good idea of, are you ovulating or having ovulation symptoms around the middle of the month, and are you having your periods sort of around the same time each month?
So yeah, it really just puts you in touch with what's happening.
Yeah, and so if it is really quite wonky or you're even skipping periods, then that's our number 1 sign that your hormones are out of balance. So the second sign that your hormones may be out of balance is that you have a short luteal phase. So this is the second half of a woman's monthly cycle where we've already ovulated and you're moving towards either a pregnancy or your period. And if you're having a second half, which is less than 12 days, it could signal that you're having low progesterone, which is often implicated in difficulties getting pregnant or maintaining a healthy pregnancy or having miscarriage. So if you are noticing that that second half of your cycle is particularly short, that could also be a sign. That kind of ties into tip number 1, that your hormones are out of balance.
So number 3 is that you have very light periods. So this would be maybe that you only bleed for 2 days. So a normal length would be about 5 days where you're tapering off kind of at the end and it's more heavy in the beginning.
And what it can mean is that you're not really building up much uterine tissue leading up to potentially pregnancy or your period. So that's another sign that your hormones could be out of balance. And then number 5 is similar. So if your periods are really, really heavy, it's another sign that you've actually built up too much tissue. And these periods, a lot of women find very uncomfortable and very difficult to deal with, can be very painful as well. So that is another sign.
So number 5 is that you suffer from extreme period pain. So this is a really common one as well. A lot of young women suffer with it, and it's actually a reason why a lot of people end up going on the contraceptive pill, is just to escape this pain that comes with their period.
It's normal to have cramping, because there is a shedding happening, but if it gets to the point where you feel incapacitated, either for a fairly brief time or for the first day or 2 of your period, it could be some imbalance with your hormones for for sure, because it shouldn't really knock you out of action like that.
Yeah. And you know, often people, sometimes the pain can get so bad that they feel like they're going to pass out, or they do pass out. So it can get quite extreme in a lot of cases. So if you're suffering from, you know, extreme pain, yeah, that could be a sign.
Yeah. So speaking of extreme, number 6 is that you suffer from extreme or severe PMS symptoms. So you're incredibly moody, you have muscle aches, headaches, a lot
Anxiety,
of bloating, depression. If you're feeling extreme kind of symptoms like this the week before or the few days before your period, it could signal that you're having some hormonal imbalance. Now, I don't think that it's necessarily natural to feel nothing right up before your period. I think having a little bit of perhaps feeling a little bloated or a little moody the day or two before is probably normal, but when it gets to a point where it really is affecting your life and it's like that extreme level, like PMD, do they call it?
PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, is a more severe form of PMS that they do recognise.
Yeah, so definitely if you're getting that level of PMS, I would recommend looking into your hormones and whether they're out of balance there.
So number 7, we have acne, in particular cystic acne. So oftentimes this kind of hormonal acne will appear along your jawline and your chin. Could also happen kind of like in your T-zone, like in between the eyebrows. It's a really common spot for hormonal acne.
And this is coming back more towards like androgens and more male hormones. But yeah, if you're coming out with cystic acne, that's definitely a sign that there's some imbalance there with your hormones. Also, speaking of sort of androgen-driven hormonal imbalances, number 8 is excess body hair. So I don't think anyone wants to talk about it. It's not very cute or flattering to talk about, but if you do have too many,
a lot of women
suffer from it, and it may be on the face, having a lot of like peach fuzz kind of hair, or even on the back of the neck and all over the body, really.
Yeah, basically kind of in places where males develop more hair. So yeah, that can be a sign that you've got elevated levels of androgens and testosterone, and it's actually really common in things like PCOS.
So the 9th sign that your hormones may be out of balance is that you either have a very low or a very, very high libido. So these are kind of two ends of the spectrum, and really we more often see with women really low libido levels when they're having hormonal issues, but it can be the opposite as well, so having an abnormally high sex drive.
So the high would be like testosterone and androgens, and then the low would be more like a low estrogen, low progesterone sort of picture.
And if that really changes for you, that's a hint that something is going on, something to do with your hormones has changed. So you just it's another thing to keep note of.
So our 10th and final sign that you have a hormonal imbalance is that you get excess weight around your hips and thighs. So this is particularly common in estrogen dominance.
And it can be genetic, so it's sort of more if you notice a change
in the way that you're storing it.
Yeah, so for some women it's like, well, of course that's where I always stored my weight, and that's perfectly fine. It's in that case probably a genetic thing, that's where you're predisposed to lay down fat. But if you notice a change where you're suddenly putting on weight in that area and it's not normal for you, it could definitely be hormone driven. So those were our 10 signs that your hormones may be off balance. We hope that these have really helped you, and also note that this is just about kind of getting in sync with your body, seeing what your body's telling you. It's not necessarily something to say, oh, I've got all these symptoms and now I'm really worried.
Yeah.
It's kind of just learning more about your body and then seeing how you can look after yourself better.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend that if you're unsure where to start, download a tracker, like a period tracker. There's plenty of different apps that can do it.
And we don't necessarily have a favourite. I've only tried the one, to be honest, and it was fine. That's the Clue one.
Yeah, there's like a billion. So we'll also be talking about rebalancing hormones in some upcoming videos as well, so stay tuned.
And as usual, if you like this video and this whole world of topics within women's health, then leave this video a thumbs up, and if you have any comments, questions, leave them below, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye guys.
Bye.